It's car con carne. Let's eat in the car. It's car con carne. And now here's the star of our show, James Van Alstyne.
This right here is Car Con Carne. Car Con Carne is a Q101 podcast. I'm James Van Alstyne. Car Con Carne is sponsored by Easy Automation. Easy-automation.net. Transform your living space with cutting-edge home automation. Experience seamless control for audio, video, lighting, climate, security, everything. Embrace the future of smart living. It's your home, your rules, motherfucker. Get a quote by visiting easy-automation.net or give my guy Dan a call. You can reach him directly at 630-730-3728, easy-automation.net.
I just put the number in my phone.
Did you really?
Oh, yeah.
What a team player you are. And I knew that about you before we sat down to do this.
I have a good feeling about that.
So Violets is a new band bringing together players from bands we're familiar with, like Naked Raygun, the Methadones, and Blood People. 3/5 of the members join me tonight. The reason why we don't have 5/5 or a whole is because my car's simply not that big for all of Violets.
We could have fit.
It would
have been fun.
Says the person who's sitting in the front seat.
Yeah.
It would have easy sucked for you to say.
Well, you couldn't come up with a last-minute Escalade or something?
In the front seat, to my right, if you're watching, if you're listening, this is also true. That is Aly. She is vocalist / guitars. In the back, directly behind me, it is Bill. And to the right of Bill, behind Aly, it is Simon. Not present are Fritz and Mike.
Yep.
Great to see you. I mean, we are new in the Violets journey. This is a new band. You've only done, 4 or 5 gigs so far?
I think, what was it, four guys? Four shows so far. 4 shows in.
Let's start with the origin of Violets. Like I mentioned, you all come from more familiar bands in Chicago. What was the genesis of what brought you all together?
I was messaging with Bill back and forth for a little while.
So I've known Simon for years and years and years.
Everyone knows Simon.
Through Raygun playing with Methadones all the time. So both bands were fairly tight. And, I became more and more friendly with Simon as time went by. And tell him where we met.
Yeah, we were messaging back and forth. I forget the name of the band we were going to see.
Fontaine's
DC. So we met at Shuba's, and right before Soucy, Mike, our drummer, was coming along. I was like,
who's also in the Methadones?
Yep. Maybe Bill might want to start a band. So we had a couple of beers, and it's like, hey, Bill, you want to start a band? He's like, yep. You want any bass players? Yep. Fritz. And then that was it. Started real slow. We were going to be a power pop band. Like, we all love the same type of stuff. Something different to what we've played before. But it was pretty set from the get-go that we'd love to have a female singer, like front person. And
and none of us
hang on, is that female front person in the car right now?
I hope so. I'm not sure.
Where am I?
Where?
Yes.
Which none of us had ever been in a band with a lady before, except for Mike Soucy, and it was just something.
A lady?
I don't know what it is. This isn't intentional, but I almost exclusively listen to bands now with female singers, just out of taste. I don't even think about it. It's like I need to hear the sweet musings of a female singing to me. It's just like, that's what I'm into now.
I think we all appreciate the sweet musings of female singers.
Yeah. So it was like, let's find a girl. And
if I had a nickel for every time I heard a guy say that.
For real.
That's what he said.
Oh my God.
So both Fritz and Simon had already known of Aly and seen Blood People, so they suggested her. We did a couple other people, auditions, and it was like, oh, we got to get Aly. And
Blood People,
she's still here.
Blood People to date, still one of the loudest shows I ever saw at Beat Kitchen.
Oh, that's music to my heart, James. Oh.
When that place gets loud, it gets loud.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, we're loud.
So, all right, so you found Aly, and Aly, they reached out to you, and you thought,
yeah,
was the timing right to jump into a new band?
Yeah, kind of. I mean, it was like the pandemic, or I think it was like, yeah.
No.
No, this was.
I mean, we had kind of getting out of that. So yeah, I mean,
It was like kind of tailing. I remember the show I went to see with Simon and Mike. You got the total pat down, and you had to show your vaccination card. So
Sure.
that's like where things were at.
Yeah, things were trailing off at that point.
Yeah.
yeah. So I mean, I don't know. Gary from Liars Club actually told me, he's like, you should try out for this band. I was like, okay.
I trust Gary.
Yeah, I trust Gary. So I was like, okay. And I did.
You should pass the
And
audition.
I guess I passed the test. Everyone was like, you're in. And I was like, I am? I'm like, okay. Like,
Well, the tricky thing.
Great.
yeah, I was like, well, let me think about it.
Didn't play that one right.
Yeah.
Our life's gone downhill ever since.
The tricky thing with a band like yours, or I imagine what the tricky thing would be, is you're all experienced. You've all achieved a certain level of knowing how to do shit, how to write songs, how to play out, how to market yourselves. Was there butting of heads? I mean, because you're also kind of well entrenched in navigating your way through things.
No,
No.
it's completely organic. 'cause
It's
I think it was,
completely the
we almost
opposite,
like,
actually.
yeah, it was like, we almost kind of took the approach of like, no one knows what the hell we're doing. So like, it was kind of fun that way, actually. Fun
Yeah.
and frustrating at times. We were like, I mean,
Well, what has sort of become the unofficial motto for the band is, well, we just do whatever the fuck we want. Like, there's no vision or this is where we want to take
itself.
this band.
The vision is
And
revealing itself.
Everyone
How's that?
has been listening to music for so long.
Put that in a
now.
press release. There is no vision for this band.
Right, exactly. That sounds great,
And-
Bill. Good one.
You know, the influences come, like I may come up with the music for a song, and I've been listening to like the Kinks a lot lately, so it's gonna get maybe that Kinksy thing. And then Aly takes the song and adds vocal and melody, and it sounds like completely different. And then Fritz, Simon, and Mike add their parts, and it just goes back to sounding like us, you know.
I love it, and you know, it's going to be hard, especially for this first year or so, for people not to want to draw lines to your other bands and try to look for those hints. It doesn't sound like Methadones, doesn't sound like Blood People, doesn't sound like Naked Raygun. That's a good sign. I mean, I'm only 4 songs into this band. That's all you're putting out so far. The EP comes out on May 2nd. It is, not surprisingly, called Violets, but it doesn't sound like your other bands.
Yeah.
I mean, other than, hey, you sound like the singer of Blood People.
Sure.
Yeah.
Sure.
Was there a conscious effort to not, like, to steer hard in another direction?
No, not at
No,
all.
I
Just
think it
happened that
was
way?
just, yeah, like, it was just like, oh, that's cool. I think we all have, like, kind of eclectic tastes in music, and, like, it ranges, like, you know, all over the place. So I think just being like, oh, I like that, and then kind of just putting that together.
So your next show is at Reggie's on April 27th. Riverboat Gamblers and Evictions, all 3 bands at Reggie's. That's a pretty great bill. And that's, again, this is still early days. Like, this is a great chance to jump on this Speeding Violets train. See you at Reggie's then.
Yeah, and
then
our merch is still really cheap.
right. That's important. On a related note, I'm not surprised. I've always found Methadones merch to be cheap.
That's because we haven't got a clue what the fuck we're doing.
Keep it up.
Is $10 too much for a shirt? I don't know. 15.
Keep it up.
I always, like, measure everything to a beer. I'm like, a beer's like $10. So, like,
Beer's $10.
I mean, pretty much with tip.
You really have to know your place in the world if you're a band or artist who says, no, I want to charge $45 for a short sleeve T-shirt.
So, again, the EP is called Violets. It's 4 songs. The Tower, Monster Hook, you have a performance video out for this. Now, I got hold of the demos for these songs before they were put into EP form. On the demos I saw, The Tower was 80s song.
Yeah.
Before it had a name, it was just, I guess, how the band referred to it. It was 80s song.
Yeah, I mean, that was kind of partly because of the riff Bill came up with. It was just, like, reminded us of, like, an 80s riff. I don't know.
We went into the studio with no song titles, so they all had...
Which, that's a mistake, because
Just
now
joke
no one knows the
titles.
titles. They just know the old titles.
That's what Simon
Yeah,
was
we
saying.
had that conversation.
Simon's first song. Okay.
Well,
Well,
No one knows
our
the
first
name
2
of it.
set list eventually Aly came up with titles for most of the songs.
Yeah. Now
and so
there
our
are
first
titles.
two set lists, I had to do the actual title / what we actually call it.
Yeah,
So,
right.
The working title.
Yeah.
For instance, Pixies Mix,
Yeah. The Pixie song, yeah.
which is Staring at the Ceiling, which is another awesome song.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Eras is the next single
Yes.
coming down. Tell me about that song.
I always like look at that song as like a freight train. It just like is kind of, it starts and doesn't, I mean, it just keeps just kind of hitting till the very end, which and it's kind of, Bill has a pretty sweet solo in that song.
That's what Bill does.
Yeah. I don't know, it's like,
Doesn't Bill
it's
always?
pretty, it's heavy and it's cool. It has a vibe.
So these are 4 songs. Are there more behind it? Are you just testing the waters with these 4? Are you... What's the plan?
Nothing is pre-planned with this band. Not a thing.
There's no vision.
It's all we have.
Thanks, Bill. No, we have
Colorblind,
other songs
legally
that
blind.
coming through the pipe, but like, yeah, we're just kind of
This is all we have recorded.
Yeah.
For the moment.
But did those 4 songs and just playing together and doing shows together, did that kind of light the fuse? Are you kind of like all in at this point?
yeah. I mean, well, after recording the songs that we had, we kind of were like, oh, okay, this is what we sound like. You know,
Yeah.
we kind of were able to like really dissect that, and
I
they
mean,
turned out really well. Like it, so that was exciting. So then we just, you know,
We were stoked about the band, like, from the get-go, pretty much. But then when we actually heard what we sound like in the studio, because we practice in the old Raygun space up top.
Oh, I should mention, we're right outside Cobra
Cobra.
Lounge where Raygun
And
practices.
it's just a living room for an apartment, and the sound is horrible, and like there's 5 of us, so it's just this
More
huge
loud.
racket.
Yeah.
And it was like, oh wow, we're really good. It was actually kind of surprising.
I got to say, the Dan Precision 88 Fingers Louis Dan, is it Bomb Shelter, his studio?
Bomb Shelter, yeah.
Over by Halakahiki?
Yes.
Yes.
He had come to see us at our very first show, which was in Blue Island, and right after it, he said...
We actually played with his new band, Iron Spiders.
Iron Spiders,
Sure.
yeah.
So.
But he said, I want to record you. So I think he had an idea what we sounded like before we knew what we sounded like. And he's fucking awesome. He
is.
He's unbelievable.
And he has amazing hair.
He does
oh my God,
have
it's the
amazing
best
hair.
ever.
Yes.
Wizard hair, like people pay big money for that. Let's talk more about the vision of this band, Bill.
Vision. Well,
Let's
it's
talk about more
developing.
about me.
Blurred.
Violets can't be pinned down to a vision. Violets is a creative outlet that is changing and coalescing as we speak.
Yes, that's right.
You're not going to be pinned
We
down.
want to be an enigma
Always revealing
wrapped
itself.
in a riddle.
Okay, so in summary, Violets, Aly, Bill, and Simon. April 27th, it is Reggie's. Then a week after that, the release date of the EP, simply called Violets.
Yes.
You're off to a great start. Not surprising, but you're off to a great start.
Oh,
And I
thank you.
appreciate you
Thank
jumping
you.
into my car on a school night to talk about
I
the
know.
band.
I was kind of
Thank
a little
you.
disappointed that we didn't have any food in the car.
I'm sorry.
Isn't that the whole
I'm
thing?
so hungry.
I mean,
I was talking
I
about...
was gonna bring snacks. I was like, we're not getting food. What
Fasted
about?
for 2 days.
Rico
dreaming
Benny's.
of
I
the
coulda ordered
feast
Rico
James
Benny's.
Van Osdal was going to
It's my
buy me
favorite.
and my
Love Rico
bandmates.
Benny's.
It's my favorite.
Here's the thing. Okay. How dare you? I was talking with Simon about this beforehand.
Sorry.
When I started this podcast, I would pay for my guest meals. It was a terrible business model before I monetized this in any way, shape, or form. These days, I'm still doing that because it's hard to get restaurant sponsors. So I'm kind of at the point where if restaurants want to participate, awesome. If not, I'm cool just doing the interview.
Oh, I would have bought your dinner, James.
Have you ever thought
I owe you Rico Benny's. How's that?
Have you ever thought about approaching it from a more DIY standpoint? Like maybe you
Cooking?
just wrap up a bunch of egg salad sandwiches and hand them out in the car?
Gross.
See, there's still cost to that.
You know,
And if-
that and cans of
Cost
soda.
and
wrapped in
time. That's
tinfoil.
way more investment.
And if I'm doing 7 or 8 of these a month,
Yeah,
it does.
Yeah.
And then there's hosting and all kinds of other stuff. I'm trying to be more economical and smart about this. Now that I'm
I totally get that.
1,030 episodes into this.
Wow.
Trying-
That's a lot of meals right there.
For real? That
real.
many?
For real.
Holy crap!
I do this too often.
Wow, that's impressive.
I mean, Aly,
That's stamina.
it is. Aly's first time on the podcast was like 2017.
That was it was a
Holy
long
shit.
time ago.
Yeah, it
I
was
saw a
funny
little
that-
clip from that.
That
I was
came
like,
up
oh,
on my
that's
Instagram
so long
feed
ago.
just randomly.
That was at El Patron, right? I think that was outside El Patron.
It was.
And then we did another one at
on Chicago
Good
Avenue.
Measure.
Yeah.
But that place isn't around anymore.
Sad but true. A lot of restaurants.
I know. It's a bummer because that place was cool.
It was cool. All right, Violets, we will see you at Reggie's, end of April.
Yes.
New EP ready for streaming, etc. First week of May. And onward and upward. I mean, what a great start. Thank you for doing this.
Thank you,
Thank
James.
you.
Thank you.
Appreciate
Pleasure to be
it.
here.
Yep.